Okay, so this is going to be episode 2 of Marketing on Mars. Today I have a very, very special guest, Nikki Senyard. Um, I hope I'm saying your name right. Senyard.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. The Senyard. Yep.
awesome. She is the CEO of Fintel Connect, originally from Australia. I think I'm getting that right. And she's also
You are.
an avid yoga enthusiast. Um, that's all I got. Nikki, why don't you just kind of just maybe give us a little bit of an intro on who you are and maybe your company Fintel Connect, and then we'll dive into it. We'll talk about everything marketing.
I love it. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Like Simon said, I'm originally from Australia. I immigrated to Canada about 20 years ago, and I landed myself in Montreal. So there was a very big culture shock, both climate-wise and culturally, from landing from Brisbane, Australia, into Montreal in January. So it was a very big transition. But I've been here for about 20 years. And in that time, I built a technology company focusing in marketing technology, and I've sold that. So I've exited one company. We started with about 3 employees and exited with just under 90.
Wow.
And I've just actually building a second one that focuses on financial services. So Fintel Connect is the only technology platform in North America that exclusively focuses on the financial industry sector in terms of growth through performance marketing.
Okay, so you're basically like a marketing agency, but for financial services companies. Is that
We're
correct?
actually marketing technology for financial services, fintech, banks, enterprise banks, community banks,
Hmm.
credit unions, that sort of thing. So that's what we do now.
Okay, cool. So your first company, you said, started with 3 people and then exited with over 90 employees. What was that? What industry was that in?
It was it was actually again in the performance marketing, affiliate marketing, technology area
Okay.
into a very specialized niche, which was regulated online gambling.
Wow. So when you first started, gambling was not, even now, even today, it's not.
Infancy.
Yeah, it was in a
Yep,
very
it
early
was in its
stages.
infancy, and I was actually able to grow up with the industry. Yeah, so what you see now is a version of where I've actually come from. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, even today, there are a lot of startups that are trying to, break into the industry and become like the top dog. What was the industry like? Tell us some of the crazier stories that you've kind of experienced, kind of learning and growing with that
I
industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I entered the digital space in about 2000, 2002.
Mm,
And to give you perspective, Google started in 97, 98.
right.
So I was very much at the beginning of the digital era. And what I really appreciated, and I was explaining this to a story to someone the other day, what I appreciated about the online gambling industry at the time was there was no merchandise, there was no shipping, there was no returns. It was all really about entertainment. So it was one of the purest forms at the time of a digital based business.
Wow.
And in that case, they were actually very, very clear on what they would pay for in terms of results and where their growth came from digitally. They were probably the most aggressive industry about results than you could find. So, as everybody else was about impressions and clicks and isn't this great, and we've got all these eyeballs, the industry that I was in was really about like bums on seats and money that was being made and actual transactions. So I've come from a very less um, fluffy side of digital marketing
Mm.
where it's not been about brand, it's actually been about acquisition. And that's something that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays, there's like a lot of other metrics that people like: cost per impression, or 1,000 impressions, cost per click, all these things that, and you kind of grew up. You kind of you saw how the industry changed,
I
right?
almost catapulted over those and just went for just what was the result.
Yeah.
So it was a great place to grow digitally. I come from a land-based environment of PR and marketing, and I'd made the transition really early from a land-based environment into an online environment, and for something that was so cutting edge because there was so many dollars involved, and the infrastructure to create a site was so, there was regulations, there was infrastructure. It was a very heavy lift for investment. So it was great to be able to grow up with that industry, and see what it's become today.
Yeah.
And I'm planning to do exactly the same thing with this business in terms of financial services.
Awesome. So let's get into that. So I'm just going through some of the list of the companies that Fintel Connect works with. You got Mogo, you got Coast Capital, you got RBC,
Yep.
major
Yep.
companies, and your focus is on affiliate marketing, correct?
That's correct. So what we do is we help all of these brands basically acquire customers, at a cost per acquisition. So that's what our technology platform does. The way I described it to somebody the other day, it's almost like we're the Switzerland.
Hmm.
We sit between the Mogos of the world, and the publishers. We sit between Coast Capital and or RBC and Borrowell. Like we sit between
Hmm.
the traffic drivers and the product in financial services, and we help create transparency in the web that allow them to work together.
So tell us a little bit more about that. So when I think affiliate marketing, I think um, you have a website. You're a publisher. You own a website, and you're kind of selling. You're either selling space on your website, or you're. It is up to the publisher to figure out how to drive traffic to your website,
Monetize.
right? And how to
That's right.
monetize it.
So can I go to a higher level? Maybe if I can give you the framework that I see it all
Okay,
in.
perfect.
As a brand, as a product, if I've got RBC credit card, what I'm looking at is as RBC, I've got I have two things that I need to drive to digitally with my digital acquisition. One is brand awareness, like get people to understand who my name is out there. And the other one is that I need to drive acquisition. So I'm just going to focus on the acquisition area because this is where I come from.
Hmm.
In acquisition, you've got a number of different disciplines, as you have in branding. Disciplines like organic search engine optimization, paid search engine optimization, organic search, social, paid social, email marketing, display, programmatics. You've got all of these
Yeah,
disciplines, right?
yeah.
That's it. Affiliate marketing is another one of those disciplines. The thing is that everybody knows about all of the rest of them, but people don't actually understand what affiliate marketing is. And the reason they don't understand affiliate marketing is it's because it's really nobody, it's behind, it's not so obvious.
Mhm.
Everybody is obviously able to see a Google ad. Everybody's able to see a sponsored post on Instagram. All of those things are very obvious to the consumer.
Mhm.
Whereas what we're talking about is not obvious to the consumer. If you go onto a product review for a credit card product and you click on the link to sign up to RBC, you don't know that there's an affiliate link behind that text link that you've clicked that actually goes through to RBC. So interesting, if you click on that text link as the consumer,
Mhm.
your product journey is very seamless. You click on the link, fill out the application form, 24 hours, 48 hours later, you get a approved or declined. What you don't know is what's going on behind that is that website is then it appears as a pending transaction in my technology. And
Mm.
then when RB sends the files through to say approved, then I actually create an approved transaction and the site that you came from gets paid.
So your technology, the data that is acquired through your technology is all first party data, right? So there is no attribution models or it's perfect. It's always one to one.
Yep, it is. And we don't collect any data on the consumer. So you as the consumer that clicked on the link, I don't know who you are.
Mm.
So I'm all the headless data, but I've got data of the impression, the click, the pending transaction, and the approved transaction. I've got all of that data. And so this is why affiliate marketing is actually quite a sophisticated form of marketing because you, as the owner of the website, when you're looking at how to make money from your website, you can do paid placement, you can do sponsored placements, and you can do affiliate programs.
Right.
You can do all of those three. And as most major media sites, you do all three. But what actually happens is, from a consumer's perspective, you don't necessarily know how that website is getting paid for that placement, and neither should you. But we're the technology that actually can create the relationship, the commercial relationship between the between the financial product and the traffic driving, the influence, so the comparison site, the article on whatever else. We're the ones
Yeah.
that create the link between all of that. Now, it's
Yeah.
really interesting in financial services to do really well as a product in affiliate marketing. You need three things.
Mm.
You have to have an attractive product, right? Something that consumers are going to find interesting. You have to have a seamless onboarding journey, so the consumers not getting hit by friction or bad, customer journey. And the other thing is that you have to be able to pay a good CPA. And a
Mm.
CPA, of course, is a cost per acquisition. So that's, as a product, those are the things that you need to do. And then as a publisher, you actually have to be approved by the product to do to the marketing. So they're wanting to see that you have insight into your audience, that your site is well maintained and has some sense of authority about it, and that they also have to see that you're not a fly-by-night product or a site that's coming and going. They need to see that you've got some longevity, because they're associating their brand with your website, so that there has to be a mutual relationship there.
So you connect these big banks, financial institutions with various different sizes publishers, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you own the relationship? Do you own these sites or publication outlets, or do
Nope,
you just
we
connect them?
don't. We're an agent, as the way, but we actually break the publisher sites into three categories. I like threes.
Okay.
One is you've got corporate affiliates,
Hmm.
corporate media sites. They're the things like Borrowell or a Credit Karma or a Motley Fool. They're a big corporate, usually venture backed publisher. Then you have the second tier, which are guys that work full time, but you might be a two-man band, or you might be 10 of you, or whatever else. They're sort of like, they're more in your startup, digital marketers
Yeah.
that are focusing on financial services, that are, getting it up. And then your third group are what I call your micro affiliates,
Mm.
guys that are doing, YouTube videos on investments that are as a side gig, or they, friends are really interested in the comments that they made, so they've decided to do a YouTube channel
Mm.
and they're building it up. So those are the three types of publishers that we work with, for the financial brands that are using our technology.
And when you kind of package these publishers and the companies together, how closely do you work on the content piece? Do you just kind of let the producers do it themselves, or are you very involved,
They
or it
must, because
depends?
no, it. We try to be Switzerland, because it's very much about the authenticity of the voice of the creator to their audience.
Right.
So we have to monitor it, and we have to we give them feedback related to regulatory requirements, branding requirements, tone of voice. We give them the feedback, and they need to take the feedback related to the positioning and legal requirements, but otherwise it's their authenticity of voice that's important, because they've got a relationship with their audience and that needs to be maintained.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I think we talked a little bit about the last time we spoke. We talked a little bit about the different types of affiliate partners. Some of them are smaller, like you said, smaller
Yep.
sites. Some of them are larger. What works best nowadays in this day and age? If I were a
You know what works?
institution and I came to you, like, what's the best for ROI, return on investment?
Um, it's always about volume and quality. That's what it always comes down to. And what you've also got to understand is that nothing is a straight line.
Mm.
Everything's about a mix. You can't make a recipe with one ingredient. You can't make a cake with one ingredient. It all takes each separate part plays their role.
Mm.
We were talking to a big brand this morning, and they actually said what works best is the mix, that you have to have something that creates awareness, something that creates the urgency to move forward, and something else that reassures people that this was a good choice of what they wanted to buy. So what you've got to be really aware of, even with affiliate programs, they don't work. Nothing works in isolation, and nothing is the magic bullet. So if you're a brand that's considering affiliate marketing, you need to have quite an established digital footprint, because the publisher's almost taking the risk, right? Those guys are promoting you on the basis that they get this good CPA at the end of once someone becomes a customer, but they're not going to invest in you unless they see that you invest in yourself.
Hmm.
They want to see that your marketing dollars, that you're backing yourself and investing in your own marketing dollars before you actually start. So it's a really cool, and what I love about it, and it's kept me interested for 20 years, is
Yeah.
this ecosystem. It's like everybody has their role to play, and it works really well when everybody plays their role well. And there's a lot of different roles that you can play. Say, for example, influencers or the YouTuber I spoke about
Hmm.
may only have, let's say, 10,000 followers, but those 10,000 followers are supremely engaged, and they actually really appreciate the authenticity of the voice of that YouTuber. So that audience could be more valuable to a brand, a financial brand, than someone that has 100,000 unique impressions a month, or whatever else, because it's much more of a transactional site, and it doesn't have the same sense of relationship. So it's an interesting ecosystem.
So I've also worked in the startup world quite a bit, and I'm seeing a trend, at least in some of the projects I've worked on in the past, that the micro influencers sometimes are almost better bang for your buck, so to speak, than some of the larger influencers. Is that kind of a trend that you're seeing, or again, it really depends on the niche and depends on who we're talking
It
about?
really depends on the niche. Like they may be better bang for your buck, but there's a lot more test proof cases out there, because there's not the track history that you would naturally make a decision based on.
Hmm.
So you may actually, it becomes the same level of cost in an aggregate form, because you've
Because you're
done so many
testing.
test
Yeah,
campaigns.
I see.
Right. So it's like anything. Sometimes a tried and true because they've got the track history. But it's always a balance, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking to somebody the other day and said 50% of their, um, no, 70% of their budget was tried and true. 20% of their budget was about optimization and spending more where you currently are. And 10% was on new destinations, like the test improve.
Mhm.
And I thought that was a really interesting way of breaking it down. And
Yeah.
that sort of works for me in terms of building a program.
Yeah, and especially this day and age, the last 20 years you've been in marketing, there has been a lot of changes, right? And when there's so many
It
changes, you got
has.
to figure out what's the best platform to put my money in now. Who are the best
And
producers
it,
now?
it absolutely, and it all changes. I mean, Face, Facebook, you had Google as the destination, and then Facebook became the destination. Now social media's become the destination. None of them lose their weight. They just appeal to different audiences. And that's the thing that you need to take into consideration as you're going through it.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing about what you're doing is, regardless what the platform is, they're still affiliates, they're still producers, right? So
That's
you're
it.
just kind of adapting to it. Okay, I'll ask you one last question, and then maybe we can wrap up. You got big clients now, Mogo, Coast Capital, big companies. What's next? What's next for you guys?
We're actually going to the States. So the idea for us was to grow the business and to be the premier destination in North America for these big financial brands. We're very privileged to say that we work with a lot of very, very prestigious Canadian brands.
Mhm.
And the next thing is to do the same domination in the US.
Wow, and they just continue to grow from there. What about
Yep.
Australia, hometown Australia?
Very much so. I think my focus is there's a lot to chew on in North America.
Mhm.
It's a very big marketplace, but definitely looking at geographic expansion after we feel that North America is well established.
Awesome. Well, I think we'll end it off here. Where can we learn more about Fintel Connect if we wanted to kind of do some research?
Yeah, we're on LinkedIn. We've got pages on LinkedIn if you want to go Fintel Connect on LinkedIn, and definitely on the web, just fintelconnect.com, and you can see more about the company.
Yeah, and that's Fintel for those of you that are interested. Okay. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for hopping on to our podcast. Really appreciate your
My
time.
pleasure. Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks.